How the Renaissance invented the modern individual. A flowering of art, of genius, of light. But beneath the marble and frescoes, a different story was unfolding. This was an age obsessed with control, control of the body, control of speech, control of desire, and above all, control of the self. This is the psyche of the Renaissance. The Renaissance was born in cities, Florence, Venice, Milan. Not castles in isolation, but tight urban arenas. Here, you were always being watched. Neighbors, rivals, patrons, princes. Reputation was currency. In a medieval village, survival depended on land. In Renaissance Florence, survival depended on image. A man could rise or fall based on how he carried himself in a room. And so, a new idea emerged. A person could be shaped, designed, engineered. Education was no longer just about prayer. It became a laboratory for personality. Teachers like Vittorino da Feltre did not simply train scholars, they trained performance. Boys studied Cicero not only to read him, but to become persuasive. They swam to harden the body. They debated to sharpen the mind. They memorized history to move through politics like seasoned actors. The goal was not innocence. The goal was composure. A Renaissance education did not ask, "Are you good?" It asked, "Can you appear in control?" The fear of failure. There was one unforgivable sin, being ridiculous. To bore others was shameful. To display too much emotion was weakness. To appear strained was humiliation. Conversation became choreography. Silence became strategy. Even laughter was measured in this world. Spontaneity was dangerous. Every movement carried risk. And so men practiced grace the way soldiers practice war. 1508 Baldassare Castiglione wrote a manual. It did not look like a weapon, but it was. The courtier described the perfect man. He must fight bravely, speak eloquently, dance gracefully, play music beautifully, but above all, he must make everything look effortless. Effort concealed, skill disguised as nature. The greatest achievement was to hide achievement, and here, something profound happens. Morality shifts, virtue becomes performance. Humility becomes theater, even refusal becomes strategy. Refuse an honor just enough so it is offered again. This was not hypocrisy, it was survival. The Renaissance elite did not seek authenticity, they sought mastery over perception. Violence in silk. But outside the palace the streets were not graceful. Executions were public spectacle. Limbs were broken in tournaments. Chroniclers recorded heads of enemies, used as game pieces. Popes raised armies. Church offices were sold. Nepotism was blatant. The same society that preached elegance tolerated brutality. Why? Because refinement was not the opposite of violence. It was a response to it. When life is unstable, control becomes intoxicating. The more chaotic the world, the more obsessive the mask. Savonarola and the shattering. Then came the rupture. Savonarola, a Dominican friar who looked at Florence and saw corruption, luxury, vanity, pride. He did not attack art itself, he attacked indulgence. For 3 years, Florence trembled under his sermons. Cosmetics burned, jewelry burned, paintings burned. Christ was declared King of the Republic. For a moment, the mask fell. The city confessed its anxiety. But moral hysteria burns fast. Soon the crowds turned. Savonarola was hanged and burned in the same square where he had preached. The Renaissance devoured its conscience. Humanism and the shift in moral gravity. Humanism had quietly altered something deeper. It suggested that a man could build virtue through reason, through ethics, through education, not solely through obedience to God. This was subtle, not rebellion, but displacement. The moral center moved from heaven to human character, and once that shift occurs, the modern world begins. The Renaissance was not simply a golden age, it was a psychological experiment. Can humans discipline themselves into greatness? Can morality be trained? Can grace conquer chaos? The answer was complicated. They created art that still humbles us. They built systems of education that still shape us. They mastered the art of appearing controlled. But beneath the polished fear lingered, and perhaps that is the truest legacy of the Renaissance. Not just beauty, but the invention of the self as something to be managed. If you enjoyed this, I am making an entire series about the Renaissance, so like and subscribe to make sure you catch them all. Also let me know where you are and what you want to see next.